Welcome back for another top-notch video. This week, guys, we'll be talking about the week of 22 March through 26 March. As always, the top-notch channel is about the Thrift Savings Plan, or the TSP. We talk about the C, S, I, and F fund. And if you're in Roth IRA or brokerage accounts, we also talk about the ETFs IVV, VXF, EFA, and AGG. What these translate to is the S&P 500, small caps, international markets, and bonds. We do a very general overview, a technical analysis, and where we are allocated for the week. If you like these weekly videos, please like, subscribe, or share. Appreciate your support. Let's go ahead and move on right into the video. Let's get after it and what we've seen for this week. What are we seeing? We'd like to start off with the TSP Talk website. And for the week, as you can see here, we were up for the week on the F fund, the C fund. We're down for the S fund and up for the I fund just a little bit, with the C fund leading with 1.5%. That's a really good allocated on the Top Notch channel. We were allocated 100% to the C fund. If you caught my moves last week, so that is a perfect place where we want to be allocated for the week. Really good that we are in that fund. We'll go over some general market commentary before we move into our technical analysis. As you can see with the S&P 500, that IVV fund or the C fund, charts are continuing in this upward trend. So we have a high here and then a higher high here. Hopefully you're going to get a higher high here. And then our lows, which is a low here, lower high here, and another lower high here above our moving averages. That is moving in the right direction for this chart. That's why we're primarily allocated in the S&P 500 right now. Continuing forward, we'll show you some more charts. For basically VXF or the S fund, we're seeing kind of a convergence here of these two trend lines come together. We'll have to see where those go from there. Kind of right in the middle of our moving averages, hoping these moving averages can hold here. Moving on to international markets, kind of some upward downward motion, not anything too higher or too lower here. So that's just kind of, want to see where that goes from here. We'll show you some more in our technical analysis. Finally, bonds. Biggest thing with bonds, guys, is we are below that 200-day moving average. Very dangerous to be below that. Our 50-day and our 20-day moving averages now below the 200-day moving average. We did see this trend line break for bonds, which is positive, but a lot of resistance at these trend lines. The next sign for this really making a recovery and a comeback is to get past the 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average. And I'd like to look more into that once we break those. Let's go ahead and move into our technical analysis for the Top Notch channel. This is going to be the C fund or IVV. We like to look at some just broad charts and then do a kind of a technical analysis. That's what this is. As you guys can see, all the way from November, larger picture for the C fund, we've been in this nice rise. Look at these two trend lines continuing to go up here. Just bounced off the bottom trend line here and saw some really good movement this last week. Kind of ricochet back up on the C fund. So that is a good sign for the C fund. I feel like it's a good place to be allocated. When we look at our charts for the year, the technical analysis we like to look at, there's a couple indicators we look at, and then we show you guys basically if this is a red, yellow, or green fund. The two indicators we like to look at are the derivative oscillator, which is the red and green bars here. When red goes into green, price tends to go up, and then when green goes into red, price tends to go down. Now, we like to look at long-term and short-term charts. We look at a long perspective and a short perspective with this oscillator. The other oscillator we like to look at, or another trigger we like to look at, is our price percentage oscillator. When blue is above red, price tends to go up. This is price up here. And when blue goes below red, or the moving average, price tends to go down. All right, so we like to look at those two indicators and then give you guys an estimate of where we see this fund going. So for IVV, guys, our funds, look at this derivative oscillator. It is moving up out of the negative here. That's positive. That's a good sign. Our PPO line is below the red line here. Not a good sign there, but this is, I would say, a yellow light or a cautionary to get involved in funds. If you know us on our channel here, we did jump in on this fund 100% in the recent weeks. We just have been out of funds since January, since we saw this start to crescendo downwards for our oscillators, and we just have been waiting to get involved in funds. As you can see, for basically since January, we haven't gone that far for the year just yet. And based off our charts, we are sitting up 6% for the year, but as of last week, it was only 3 or 4%. So not a lot of movement just yet for the year, but we're really hoping it will start to take off now that we're starting to see some action here with IVV and our price percentage moves above our moving average here. This is a cautionary tale for the weekly chart, and I'll show you why we jumped in this past week. Because in this past week on the short-term chart, same indicators, IVV or the C fund, as you can see here, price was just kind of not doing a whole lot for the last, for about half the month here. Just not moving around very much since the 11th or 12th, kind of average all the way across. This derivative oscillator really dropping off here and then in the negative for most of the month. We're really starting to see that come back here. As you can see, oscillator's almost back into the green. Good spot to jump in here. And our oscillator, price percentage oscillator, is just about ready to cross this line. We decided to jump in this past week here and take advantage of that, and prices continue to increase upward. Let's move to our next chart, which is the S fund, small caps, VXF. What are we seeing here with VXF? Look at these giant kind of just uphill, downhill movements here. Ever since February, have not really seen that get a higher high here. That is concerning. Prices kind of just leveling off since we've had so much upward movement on this chart. We are above this little blue trend line here, which is good. We are below our two trend lines here. A lot of space down here if it decides to crash. So keep that in mind. We could see a head and shoulders type movement. So if we do see that, we'll let you guys know. But that other shoulder has not been drawn just yet. Let's look at our technical analysis for VXF. We use the same indicators, long-term charts. What are we seeing here? Not a positive sign for our derivative oscillator. Look at this, guys. Still in the red here. No positive coming up here. That is a negative red sign. And our PPO line is in below our moving average, below that red line there. That is a red sign. So this is a red light chart. Do not get involved in VXF at this time. Just nowhere to go right now. As you can see, price is just kind of turning its wheels ever since mid-February. Not a lot of price movement. Going to stay away from this one for the time being. Moving on to EFA, iFund, International Markets. What are we seeing here? Look at this, guys. They show us a double top here on the charts. That's usually not a positive sign. We need to see this break this trend line before we get involved here. We are above our other trend line, so a little bit better than VXF or the S fund. But we want to see it break that before we get involved in this fund. Now, there is some movement here that we could go, and we could see it get into this white space here. But if it decides to break down from this point here, look at how long that could go. It's a long ways down for EFA. We'll have to wait and see where that goes for this week. Let's look at the technical analysis. EFA, what are we seeing on long-term charts here? What are we seeing? As you can see with EFA, long-term charts, good sign here. Our derivative oscillator is moving out of the red bars. That's positive. Our PPO is still in the blue, is still below the red here, so that is not a good sign. So we have one red sign, one yellowy sign right here, green sign. That makes it a yellow, green, and then yellow. So basically what we're going to be seeing there, guys, is just a yellowy cautionary sign. Not really want to get involved in this fund until I see it break that double top. That will be kind of turn this more of a green light to a red light for me in the future. Moving on to bonds. What are we saying on bonds, guys? Bonds had some struggles this year. Really not a good sign. We've asked you guys to stay out of it for most of the year, and we are very glad we did. Just has not been a good look for bonds. Now we are seeing a little bit of a movement here, but we really need to see it get above these two moving averages before we even really consider this fund. Look at this 200-day moving average rolling over. Not a positive sign for bonds. Let's look at it from a technical analysis on AGG. As you can see here, for AGG, it is starting to pop out just a little bit here. So that's a positive sign, but our PPO line is so below there, so that's a red and a green. That makes this a yellow. I would not get involved in this yet. I would wait until we get above these two simple moving averages before we even consider this fund. So that'll be a little upwards movement, but we're not much. So we really need to do that before we get back into a balanced portfolio. Right now, we're kind of 100% stocks moving forward. That is all of our funds for this week, guys. As always, on the Top Notch channel, we show you guys where we are allocated. We did move out of the G fund this past week or so. Got all our money out of cash, and we moved it back into the S&P 500, ETF, IVV, or the C fund 100%. We want to take advantage of the next upward movement that may be coming in that C fund, so we'll have to wait and see if that happens. What do you guys think charts are going to be doing this next week? Please write it in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, or share. That's another top-notch video. We'll see you guys next time.